concept. Spanish gerunds are like the English version of ing. So if we have in English eating, living, going, saying, those are gerunds that end in ing. And then in Spanish, we have a very similar thing where we have also the ing, but it depends on how the verb ends. So if it's an AR verb, then it's going to end in ando, A-N-D-O. Now, if the Spanish verb ends in ER or IR, then it's going to end in iendo. So once again, the Spanish gerunds are like the English version of ing. Spanish AR verbs are going to end in ando. Spanish ER verbs are going to end in iendo. And it's super easy, and we'll go over that. But yeah, just think of it like English is to ing as Spanish gerunds are to ANDO or INEDO. So ando for the AR verbs and iendo for the ER-IR verbs. So that's essentially what that is. All right, so now that we understand what exactly the Spanish gerunds are, so I'll go over it again. Spanish gerunds are like the English version of ing. Spanish AR verbs are going to end in ando. Spanish ER and IR verbs are going to end in iendo. So if you would say in English, drinking, going, saying, doing, well, then in Spanish, we have the same thing, except they're going to be ando or iendo, depending on what verb it is. So let's go over some examples. So that's what we're going to do right now. So we're just going to go ahead and break it down, and we will go ahead and start with the first example. So this is the board. Now, of course, I do have to erase it because, we limited on space over here on this board. But I always like to start off with the core foundation so that you know what we're learning today. So we're learning about Spanish gerunds, and which are like the English version of ing. So if you learn this one concept, it's going to help you sound more fluent. And this is exactly the kind of confidence that we build inside of that Stop Gatekeeping bag that's in my bio. We actually focus on real life Spanish that you'll use. And as I can say, as somebody who speaks Spanish, I'm always using these gerunds. I stay using ando or iendo. So let's find out how they work. Let's find out how we actually use Spanish gerunds and what that looks like in everyday conversation, because they're super easy to use. So we're going to go ahead and we'll start off with the first example. So we have three main examples that we're going to focus on. We're going to start with hablar. That's our first verb. Then we're going to take it over to comer. That's our second verb. And then we're going to take it to vivir, which is our third one. So these are our core example verbs that we're going to be using for examples. Now, how do the gerunds get formed? That's easy. What we're going to do is we drop the ending. So this is how it's going to look. We are going to drop the ending. I'll just scratch it off for right now, just so you can see an example. So we scratch off that, and then we end with ando. Now, hablar, as you can see, is an AR verb. Anytime you have an AR verb, we are going to drop that ending and add ando. Anytime you have an ER verb, we're going to drop that and add iendo. Anytime you have an IR verb, we're going to add iendo. So that's easy. Anytime they end in ER and IR, they're both going to be iendo. Only if it ends in an AR do we go to ando. All right. So now let's look at it put together. Now that you see how we take the ending off and how they're formed, now we can actually put it together. So as I said, we are going to drop the ending and then add the gerund. So for AR verbs, do you remember what we're going to add? If you have an AR verb, it is going to end in ando, okay? Because hablar was originally an AR verb. So I'll write that up here to the side. That ended in AR, so that's why it went to ando. Yes, absolutely. Correct, Shell and Life Strategies Now, and You Better Work. Yep, exactly. Those are the right ones. Now, for comer, comer was originally an ER verb. So what is that going to turn into? We drop off the ER, and we're going to add iendo. Okay. And then for vivir, vivir was originally an IR verb. So we're going to also end that in iendo. All right. So there we go. So what we're going to do, yes, exactly, Shell, it's going to be the same for ER and IR. Exactly. So what do these even mean? Because remember, This verb was eventually hablar, and when it's hablar, that originally means to speak. But if we change it to a gerund, now what this means is the equivalent of speaking. Now, comiendo, it went from comer, which means to eat, to now is eating. So now we got the ing going on. Vivir is a verb that means to live. So if we went from to live, it's going to be anybody want to take a guess at it? Living, exactly. Yep, you better work. It's living, ing. So what we're looking at here, we are looking at Spanish gerunds. And gerunds is essentially, it's like saying ing in English, except we're in Spanish. So hablando, speaking. Comiendo, eating. Viviendo, living. Exactly. So we're going to go over some examples later, but this is how you will say it whenever you're trying to say you're currently doing something. So if you want to say I'm eating, we won't say estoy comer. We'll say estoy comiendo, which lets you know I am eating. Okay, so that's simple enough. I told y'all, like, this is super easy. So before we move on into our examples of how we're going to use these in our everyday sentences, let's actually look at some more examples so that, we're comfortable conjugating these verbs appropriately. So you already know the rule. If a verb ends in AR, it's going to go to ando. If a verb ends in ER or IR, it's going to be yendo. All right. Somebody say, can you spell the word you keep saying, Spanish gerund? Is that it? Yeah, sure. So let me put that here on the board. So gerund. Yep, that is the basis of what we are doing today, is learning to practice and use and understand Spanish gerunds. So let's do us a little quiz time here to see if we understand how to conjugate words on site. So remember what our rules are. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3 different words or verbs, and then you all can tell me in the comments what's going to be the gerund of the words that I just put here. Because right now, these are the unconjugated verbs, but I want you all to tell me what are going to be the gerunds of these words based off of the rules. Okay, and so your fave 77 says, okay, ando is for AR ending and endo is for ER and IR endings. I'm taking those. Yes, you got it correct. Yes. And all we have to do is look at the endings, and that tells us right there what it's going to be. All right. All right. Great job, honey goddess. You're getting these correct. Yes. So trabajando, bebiendo, escribiendo. Excellent job. I got fast learners on this live. So trabajando, bebiendo, and escribiendo. Now, who wants to translate these words for me? Who wants to translate what do these words even mean? Yeah, good question, your fave 7. Yep, and estoy trabajando. Yep, that's good sentence formation. Exactly. All right, so correct. All right, working. So yep, Robin, the comeback coach, and honey says working. I see drinking. I see writing. Great job, honey goddess. I see you, Karis. Great job. Yep, the last one, Robin, the comeback coach, is escribiendo, so writing. So yeah, great job, honey goddess, Karis, life strategies, and Robin. Okay, good job. All right, so now that we understand the specific rule, cool. Now we can get into usage of these, like how are we going to use these? Because we understand what a gerund is, we understand how it's conjugated, we understand the rule for conjugating, like how do we know what ending ends in that? So now we're going to put it all together. It's called our formula. Now, this is something we did on yesterday's live where I gave you all a formula for using the word tener. Well, we have a formula for our gerunds as well. There's always a way that you use gerunds, and this is the formula. It's basically like a little simple equation. As long as you know the equation, then you have everything you need. Yes. So essentially, okay, yeah, Shell says, do you make longer form YouTube videos? I am on YouTube, but for right now, they're all short form. But now that I know I have a need for that and you all want that, I can go into making longer form videos. Absolutely. So yeah, I could actually take this and make it a longer form lesson, because what I do after these lives, I do clip them up. And so for those who weren't able to join the lives, I take clips of these and I put them on the TikTok page. But yes, I can certainly make a longer form video of this and upload it so that you all can have that over on the YouTube platform. Because I know TikTok, they want you to kind of hurry up and get out on TikTok. But YouTube, yes, I will make a long form video. And, to be honest, I'll just take this video from the live and put it over there. So, yeah, actually, I'll do that. All right. So, yeah, you said, yeah, you got to head out, but this is so interesting. Okay, well, yeah, no problem, Shell. Well, I'm glad that you told me that. So, yeah, I'll make sure to take this live and I will make sure it gets over onto YouTube in longer format. So, yeah. All right. So, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. He says it's needed, friend. You are a kind person for doing this. Oh, thank you so much. I always, wanted to do a platform that helps Black women and girls, learn Spanish. So I do it for y'all. I have a 2-year-old son. I teach a little Spanish too. Oh, that's so sweet. Well, yeah, put them onto my TikTok videos. I know my cartoons, they're basically for the grown people, but they appeal to children too. He'll probably love my cartoons and animations I put on here. And thank you, Life Strategies. Thank you. I like my nails too. Yeah, I think they match the board. Estamos. Honey Goddess, go into more detail when you say estamos. I missed that comment. Somebody says, hi, when you get a chance, how did you learn Spanish? Right, because I'm not in position to pay for tutoring. Okay, so yeah. Well, fun fact, a little bit of an abbreviated story is that I learned it when I was 14. I had a Puerto Rican friend when I was 14. And when she moved here from Puerto Rico, the teacher put her with me to help kind of show her around. She knew Spanish. And I became really interested in it because I wanted to be able to talk to her. And so she would teach me words and I would go over her house on the weekends. And that's how I really sparked an interest in Spanish. And then my mom has a friend from Panama and she speaks fluent Spanish. She's an Afro-Latina. And she actually helped me to learn the Spanish all throughout my teenage years. And then when I got to college, I studied abroad in South America, and I just took it all the way. Because in college, we only had to have 2 years of Spanish. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it all 4 years. So I really just went all the way. And now to this day, I just love Spanish, and I just speak it fluently. So it really came from just formal education and then being around native speakers, my mom's Latino friends and, being able to talk to them. So that's how I got into Spanish. And now I make it my mission to have Black Girl Spanish, where I help encourage other Black women and girls to learn Spanish, get in the game, be fluent, and get out there, because Spanish can be very gatekept. I know there's a lot of jobs that are requiring Spanish if you want to move up the ranks. And, I want us to have all the opportunities. So, hey, that's why I want to teach you guys Spanish. Okay. So, Honey Goddess, you said, would that be estamos? Estamos, that depends on if we're going to do the nosotros form. So we're going to do some examples with this, because estar, it will change to different formats depending on what you use it for. So sometimes it could be estamos, but it just depends on what we're going to do. But yeah. So, Robin, the comeback coach, you said, I got your stop gatekeeping pack and it's amazing. Thank you. I'm glad you love it. It's all the tools that I use to become fluent and to become confident talking in Spanish. So, you guys enjoy that. The link is in my bio. All right, so let's go over our equation, estar plus gerund. All right, so if I want to say I am eating, I will go with estoy comiendo. Okay, so yes, exactly. Estoy comiendo. So this is our actual formula in live practice. I have the correct version of estar, and then I have the gerund. So it's estoy because I'm talking about myself. So that's why I say estoy. It's talking about the yo form. And then comiendo, that is the gerund form, and essentially saying I am eating. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. I appreciate you. Oh, yeah, I appreciate you too, Olivia. I do it all for y'all. So thank y'all for supporting my platform. I just want to make sure y'all have all the tools to be out there and, to really understand and learn Spanish, because I'll tell you an example. Spanish is not going anywhere, so we might as well get in the game. And I'm in the game already, but I want to help you all get in the game too, because Spanish is that language these days. It is really that language. And I want to make sure we got all of the resources that we need to be out there and be at the top. So There you go. So, but yeah, Brit says I've never heard of a gerund. Yeah, I think it's probably because it's like the technical term of it. I think you've probably have seen words like yendo. You just never knew that that was a technical name for it. But yeah, very common in Spanish. So nothing says, okay, I'm new here. What's that? I'll be clipping up videos and putting it on TikTok. So don't worry, I'll go over that. I've been living in Central America for a year and I'm trying to get comfortable with speaking Central America. Cool. What country are you in? That's really cool. That is awesome. I was in South America before, Central America. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, ing words, exactly. Nicaragua and Costa Rica. Ooh, now those are two places I haven't been before. That is cool. Yes, absolutely. Well, then, yeah, you definitely need the Stop Gatekeeping Kit because you're in South America, but also I do have a course that is actually for women who live in Spanish-speaking countries, so you can actually assimilate and really assimilate to your surroundings and have a really good time in your Spanish-speaking nation. So yeah, check out the link in my bio. I definitely got something for everybody over there. But yeah, so now we have a new sentence here. Estás hablando. Estás hablando. This is our gerund formula in practice. So this is, are you speaking? Are you speaking? So yeah, absolutely. Somebody says, okay, the Green Bird app just be making me mad. Yeah, I understand you. That Bird app is good for vocabulary, but I'll tell you here, it will never make you fluent. It'll congratulate you for 100-day streak and give you nothing in return except for random vocab that you can't use. So yeah, that's why we're on here doing these study with me sessions so that I can teach you how to use the actual vocabulary. So yes, Honey Goddess says, are you speaking? Absolutely. So if you ever want to ask somebody, hey, are you talking? Are you speaking? Well, this is how you can do it. Estás hablando. You wouldn't say estás hablas. It's estás hablando. So because that's something that's currently going on. So what if I wanted to say he is drinking water? He is drinking water. We would say él. He is drinking water. You said you're on a 555-day streak and still can't speak fluently. That's okay. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help fill in the gaps and really teach y'all the good kind of Spanish because, to be honest, over in that app, they kind of teach you like random stuff like, yeah, the broom is in the kitchen. But I mean, we have to be able to know like real Spanish is going to be used in everyday life. So I get it. So, okay. That's a good try. Somebody says, él es bebiendo agua. You're so close. It's actually going to be está. Está, because estar is like a temporary form. What you were saying when you said es is actually a derivative of the verb ser. So ser is not the same as estar. So, but that's a good try though. But that is coming from ser, which is a more permanent state of being. But since drinking is temporary type things, then, we use estar, and the correct one will be está. So, and it doesn't translate in the specific dialects of each Spanish-speaking country. Yeah, to my knowledge, that app is not region specific, to my knowledge. So, yeah, that's another thing. So, yes, but the rest of that sentence was correct. Él está bebiendo agua. So, yes, he is drinking water. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yes. So see how easy y'all are catching on? Now, I got another one for y'all here. I'm going to let you all do this one. You will probably have the answer before I'm done writing the sentence, but we're going to still go with it anyway. So this example sentence is, let's see. And it's actually something that we're doing right now. Let's see. I want to say we are watching TikTok. So we are watching TikTok. I'll put the end of the sentence here. And I want to see, do y'all know how to put this formula together to say we are watching TikTok? So let's break it down with the first one. So we have estar will be the nosotras form of TikTok. The nosotras form of estar. Close, not quite though. Somebody said, somos mirando TikTok. It wouldn't be somos because somos is a derivative of ser, but we're talking about estar. So estar. So somebody says, it's hard, learned Portuguese as a kid, but grew up around slang Spanish. It's all mixed up. Oh, that's cool. You learned Portuguese as a kid. That's cool. Are you from Brazil or something? That's cool about how you learned that, though. Okay, honey goddess, nosotros ambos. I don't know if that's a mixture word, but okay, but you're close though. So what we want to say is nosotras, and that's optional too. We don't even have to put nosotras. We can just put estamos. So estamos mirando TikTok. Estamos mirando TikTok. So we are watching TikTok. So let me put that up here so it's all the sentence is on the same line. So yeah. But yeah, Robin, the comeback coach, you had part of the sentence. But yeah, the first part is estamos. Estamos mirando TikTok. You say your family's from Costa Rica and you learned it in school. That is so cool. Wow, that's so cool that your family's from Costa Rica. I don't think I've ever met anybody from there. But yeah. Somebody says, sorry, what is nosotros again? That's okay. Nosotros is just a verb tense. That's all it is. Nosotros is a verb tense that refers to the we form of something. So yeah, and it's good. It's all right. We learn new vocabulary every day. So mirando comes from mirar, which is to watch. So yeah. And okay, honey goddess, you said you're currently in Costa Rica. Oh, that's so cool. I love that for you. Oh my gosh. Are there, do you find there to be a black population over there in Costa Rica? Do you see like other like black people, like expats, like black Americans or just black Latinos in general? All right. Here is another sentence I'm going to give for you all. Puerto Viejo. Oh, that's so cool. That must be a common city because there's like a Puerto Viejo in Panama too, from what I heard. That's cool. All right, so I got an example sentence for you all. So I gave you all a clue by saying Ana y Lisa. So that's going to tell you, based on these two names right here, what format estar is going to have to be in for the first part. And I want to say that Anna and Lisa are writing. How would we say that? Anna and Lisa are writing. Good job, Life Strategies. Now you got the first part. So the first one is están. Yeah, están, because that is the ellas form, meaning they, the they form. And then you also said escribiendo. Excellent job. Escribiendo. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Okay, honey goddess, you got it partially right. You got Ana y Lisa escribiendo, but eres is a derivative of ser. So we don't want to say that. All we do in gerunds is we put estar in there. So all you have to do is swap out estar and put estan, and you got it right. But that's from ser. So that's good though. We can do a lesson on that this week about the difference between ser and estar conjugations, and then it'll be a lot easier for us to tell the difference though. So yeah, I'll do a lesson on that. All right. So also, just to give you all a little bit of a word bank here, because we're going to do another example. One thing that I want you all to be able to remember about our beloved estar that we're talking about is that these are the only tenses that we'll be using. Estoy, I am. Estás, you are. Está, he or she is. Están, they are. And estamos, we are. So these are the only 5 tenses that we would ever be using as it relates to our today's lesson. So it's either going to be the yo form, the to form, the he or she form, the they form, or the we form. So with that in mind, we know that these are the only ones that we would be using, the only types of words we're using for today. All right, so now, knowing that, let's do us a little bit of a game here to see who all was paying attention. We're going to play us a little game. So you all already understand these are the 5 different tenses. We already understand that. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of a game here. So let's see if we were to say, all right, tú estás durmiendo. I'm trying to say you are sleeping. Well, no, actually, I'm asking a question. I'm trying to ask, are you sleeping? Something is wrong with this sentence, though. What's wrong with this sentence? Because I don't know. I have the verb, I have a star, I have the gerund, but something in here is wrong. What's wrong with that? Good job, honey goddess. Wrong form of estar. So yeah, and see the giveaway here is tú. So if I'm saying tú, that means I need the you form, but están is the ellos form, so we don't want that. What we meant to say is tú estás durmiendo. And that is, are you sleeping? So yes, so the verb was correct, but the estar tense was wrong. So we just want to watch out for that, that if we're really talking to a person or asking a question, we have to make sure estar is in the proper format, which would be estás. Because here, that was the ellos form. So yeah, so we want to make sure we got that under control. So yep, good job. All right, so now I got another one for y'all. All right, so now we have ellas están. I'm going to run out of room over there, so I'm going to go ahead and come down to the second line. All right, so I want to say they are eating, and ellas is feminine, so I want to say they are eating, but something's wrong with this. And I don't understand because I have estar, which is the right tense, ellas están, that's correct. And I even have the verb in the gerund. What's wrong with this? Exactly, Annie, and exactly, honey goddess. I said ando, and that's not correct because according to according to our lesson earlier, this word comes from comer. Comer ends in an ER. So if it ends in an ER, I wouldn't say comiendo. That's not correct. We would say comiendo, okay? Because when verbs end in an ER or an IR, then the correct ending is IENDO. Exactly. So that is how we do that. It's iendo, okay? So that's what was wrong with that sentence. So ellas están comiendo because it ends in an ER. And ER translates over to iendo. And the same for IR verbs too. So even if I had a verb that ended in IR, well, it's still going to be iendo at the end of the day because that's the rule that it follows. So, all right, my lovelies. So it has been a wonderful little mini lesson. I'll be clipping this up and putting it out on TikTok for those of you who weren't here from the beginning. I'll go ahead and I will put all this together. And I'll also, for the person that recommended a YouTube video, I'll even release the longer form version over on the YouTube page. So you all can follow Black Girl Spanish is over on YouTube. Do that. Check the link in my bio for some special resources that I have for you all.